Hello, I'm Dallas Jackson, Superintendent of the Forest Hill Schools. Welcome to another edition of Forest Hill Schools Today. In today's episode, we're going to review the Comprehensive Facilities Master Plan of the district. I will be joined by three guests who will talk about the planning process. Later in the show, we're going to talk about some of the renovations planned for each of our buildings. So let's get started. Today I'm joined by three visitors. To my right is Lou Batch. Lou is a local resident and also is an architect with Manelli & Batch Architects. To his right is Ray Johnson, our Director of Business Operations for the Forest Hill Schools. And to his right is Rick Tepfer, our District Treasurer. Lou was one of the several community members who sat on the Superintendent Steering Committee who helped devise the Comprehensive Facilities Master Plan. Lou, could you share a little bit about the process involved in that, as well as some of the critical assumptions from the committee?
Sure. As Dr. Jackson said, I was one of the people from the community who were asked to give some input as the district was developing its facilities plan. We met several times over the course of a couple months. We toured the existing buildings in the district. We looked at the work that the past facilities committees had done, and we met with the architectural consultant who was advising the district and helped the district put together a list of needed renovations and a realistic budget for what those renovations might cost. So I think one of the things most important things from the committee's perspective was that we looked at the previous work that other planning committees had done. And the most important lesson that we learned from those was that the people in the community really want to maintain the current configuration of buildings in the district. They want 6 neighborhood elementary schools, K through 6, 1 middle school, and 2 high schools. The number of students in the district is expected to remain steady in the future. So I think the most cost-effective way to maintain the current configuration is to replace the one building that needs to be replaced, which is Wilson, and to renovate the other buildings to meet the needs of the current students and future students. And I think that the final proposal that was put together meets those goals, and it does it for far less cost than any of the other proposals that have been put forward in the past.
Thank you, Lou, and first of all, thank you for participating on the Superintendent's Committee. Ray, from your perspective as a Director of Business Operations, can you tell us a little bit more about some of those critical findings?
Well, as Lou said, we took the steering committee on tours of the buildings, compared and took a look at some of the findings of past committees. And one of the common things is obviously for us the safety and security of our students and staff are at the forefront. So at each building there are security modifications and improvements. As you go into schools nowadays, you find as you enter into a school as a visitor, you enter into a safe and secure foyer. But then you have to be identified before you're allowed to enter the main part of the building. So making modifications like that at each of our buildings was a key part of this, as well as in some buildings, but potentially making some additions to fire alarm systems and lighting systems and so forth, as well as a couple of the buildings really taking a serious look at the parking and the traffic patterns, because it's not only the safety and security inside the building but outside as well. Another thing we took a look at was accessibility. One of the key things we've tried to do over the years is to make sure that we maintain the accessibility to our buildings. But there are things, some minor issues at many of the buildings that we have to address. So that's a part of this. But also we have 2 of our buildings that we have some areas of the buildings that people that, have issues with mobility just cannot get to it very, very easily. So those are included as well. Then the last component of it was kind of taking a look at a broad area called, the learning environment. Obviously at buildings like Anderson, Maddox, and Summit, this means air conditioning, and then it means everything that goes along with that as you're installing ductwork and new ceilings and lighting and so forth. We took a look at the science classrooms at the high schools, and modifications need to be made there. At Anderson High School, we have some major work that needs to be done on the pool filtration system. So that's included in that. along with the fact that the district has made great strides in improving the technology infrastructure at the high schools and middle school the last couple of years. But we need to take that down to the elementaries. So be getting all those buildings up to the same level with technology.
Ray, one of the findings as well that that our consultant shared with us is that the building envelopes themselves were solid. And that's a testament to you as the Director of Business Operations and your team in regards to what you do year in and year out in regards to those needed improvements that need to be made, whether it be a roof or pavement or whatever that might be. So thank you for that. Our buildings are pretty sound. They just need some renovations. So thank you again. Rick, when it comes to that, can you talk to us about how we've been able to do that, how Ray has been able to do that over the past few years in regards to putting those roofs on and those types of things?
Yeah, the 1986, the Board of Education passed a resolution to really create a funding source. And that resolution is all the interest earnings in the district's general fund, which is the main operating fund, are transferred every year to a newly created permanent improvement fund. Funds in the permanent improvement fund can only be used for capital projects, roofing, blacktop, concrete, windows, doors, the things that need to be done when you have 1 million square foot under roof, things that need to be done every year to maintain those buildings into the future. And since 1986, over $19 million, or about $750,000 a year, have been invested back into the community's facilities to keep them in the shape they're in today.
Very good. Moving forward, now that the board has, had the resolution to address our facilities needs through a bond issue, can you tell us a little bit about that in regards to how we can address those facilities needs through the bond issue, a bond issue?
Yeah, I think over the last couple of months, the Board of Education has heard the master facilities plan, asked details about that plan, and obviously asked for what funding options there were. And in the January board meeting, January 28th, the Board of Education passed a resolution to place a $47 million, 1.86 mil bond issue on the ballot in May of 2013. And that's when our community will have an opportunity to invest in their buildings into the future.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, first of all, thank you for being with us today and sharing some of your wisdom and your thoughts in regards to our facilities. Lou, thank you for the committee work that you've done, and Ray and Rick as well. Now that we've talked about a little bit about that general comprehensive facilities master plan, I'd like to come back and talk a little bit about specific needs of each building. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I would like to take some time and talk about those identified critical needs by building. We're going to be looking through the lenses of safety and security for our students, staff, and our community, the accessibility of all of our students to all parts of our buildings, as well as optimizing our educational learning environments. Let's begin with Anderson High School. One of the needs that we have identified in each of our buildings is to have a secure entrance area. At Anderson High School, we would like to begin by looking at that security vestibule in the entrance area of Anderson so that we can identify visitors who are coming to our buildings, welcome them, but make sure that we know why they're in our buildings and then be able to get them to the places they need to get. As well as that, we need to take a look at our ADA accessibility. At Anderson, there are areas of which students and staff that have a handicap disability in regards to being in a wheelchair or on crutches basically cannot access. There's a second floor that the only way to get to the second floor of Anderson to those classrooms is by stairs. There's also a second floor in the other end of the building, the music wing, where if you are a vocal music student, you will have very difficulty getting to your classes as well. HVAC improvements. To improve the learning environments, we really need to address the heating and cooling, but in particular the cooling at Anderson High School. There are only a very small portion of Anderson that is currently air conditioned, and we need to address the entire building. This not only will improve the learning environments, but also help as far as safety and security, because on a hot spring or a fall day, many of those doors are propped open as much as we try to keep them closed. We need to also take a look at the electrical systems at Anderson and make some improvements there, as long as a generator. Classroom modifications. Although Anderson High School is a generally well laid out building, there are some needs of improvement in regards to classroom modifications. Part of those is the science wing at Anderson High School, where we need to take a look at those particular classrooms and provide the equipment and the environment that is conducive to learning. There are some scheduled roof replacements on Anderson, as well as some site circulation and safety improvements as well. To chat about that just for a second, in the mornings and in the afternoons when school is beginning to take up session, as well as when we dismiss in the afternoons, the Forest Road quite considerably can be very difficult to get down. We need to take a look at that because we have buses, students, walkers, as well as parents that are driving in and out all at the same time. Let's look at Turpin. At Turpin High School, again, the theme of addressing those front entrances at our buildings. Our safety and security vestibule needs to be addressed so that we can have a secure public entrance. ADA accessibility in regards to, in particular, the entry assist area, as well as other areas, especially our gymnasium. HVAC efficiencies. We know that by providing some efficiencies to our heating and air conditioning, that we can actually save energy dollars. The area of Turpin that really needs to be addressed in regards to the learning environments is simply the classroom structures themselves. There are many areas of Turpin where the classrooms are just not as conducive to learning environments as we would like. Some of the classrooms are pie-shaped or wedge-shaped, and others are, quite frankly, almost not accessible to some of our students, as you have to walk through as many as 2 classrooms to get to them. When we take a look at Nagle Middle School, again, that front entrance at Nagle Middle School, although Nagle is our newest building, we need to address that security entrance at Nagle. AD accessibility in regards to that entry assist. Again, HVAC efficiencies so that we can provide some efficiencies to our budget. And those site access improvements. Very similar to Anderson High School. Nagle in the morning and the afternoon with our parent traffic and our bus traffic, and as well as our walkers, needs to be improved for the safety of everybody involved. Ayer Elementary. As we take a look at the elementaries, again, you'll see the same front entrance areas that we need to address in regards to establishing a security vestibule. We need to take a look at the fire alarm at Ayer Elementary in regards to making some improvements there. ADA accessibility, as well as taking a look at some of the restroom and some of those modifications there for handicap access. Some interior renovations at Ayer Elementary. Both Ayer and Sherwood are that open concept. It works very well, but we do need to address some of the interior renovations there so that we can improve our learning environments. And one thing at all of our elementaries is the improvement of our technology infrastructure. We've worked on that over the years at both of our high schools as well as our middle school, and we need to address that at the elementaries to make sure that we have wireless accessibility for all of our students and staff at all parts of those buildings. Maddox Elementary. Again, Maddox, we have that door access and security that we've been talking about in regards to safety of all of our students. We have ADA accessibility modifications there as well, especially on the lower level at Maddox. HVAC improvements, the cooling system. We need to address that. Parts of Maddox, very few parts do have some air conditioning, but most of that building does not. Maddox also has a modular unit that has 2 classrooms outside of the building itself. We want to move that unit out and have a 2-classroom addition placed on Maddox Elementary so that we can have a better learning environment and a safer environment for our kids. We have some scheduled roof replacements that are due over the next couple years, as well as some site access improvements at Maddox as well. Maddox has quite a long driveway with a curve in it, and it simply needs to be addressed in regards to, it's particularly if two buses are trying to pass each other, or even a car and a bus. Sometimes, and most of the time, it is very difficult to do. And of course, our technology infrastructure at our elementaries. Moving on to Mercer Elementary. Mercer is our largest elementary. And when you first walk into Mercer Elementary, what you see is this picture here is a large, beautiful staircase that goes upstairs. But there's no secure entrance in regards to, again, identifying who is in our building and the purposes for them being there. We need to address that for the safety of everybody involved. ADA accessibilities. When Mercer was built, the gymnasium in particular, just one issue or area there is that you have to walk down a set of stairs to get to the gym at Mercer Elementary. One of the areas that we need to address in regards to some savings of energy is our windows. Although we've done a great job at some of our buildings in keeping our window structures in great shape, Mercer is one that we really need to take a hard look at and provide those double pane windows so that we can save some energy. Scheduled roof replacements again, some interior renovations at Mercer, and that technology infrastructure as well. Sherwood. Sherwood, very similar to Ayer, has the same areas of concern that we want to address in this plan. Sherwood, we need to address that security vestibule. We also need to look at our fire alarm improvements there. AD accessibility, especially when it comes to those restrooms and the access into the building. Again, one of those open buildings where we need to look at some of those interior renovations and our technology infrastructure as well. Summit. Summit, you can see the theme of addressing our front entrances at all of our buildings, and in particular Summit Elementary. In Summit, the main office is actually on the second floor, way off to the left. And once you get access to Summit, you need to be directed to go to the office. So we want to make sure that, again, we have an area that we can identify who is entering our buildings and the purpose for our visitors. AD accessibility. At Summit, similar to a couple of our other buildings, we have no accessibility to the second floor areas for students that are handicapped. Scheduled roof replacements again. Some more window replacements at Summit Elementary. HVAC improvements. Again, very few areas of Summit are air conditioned, and we need to make sure that that entire building is a better learning environment for our kids. As well as, again, at our elementaries, our technology infrastructure. Wilson Elementary. Wilson Elementary is identified not only in this particular plan, but by architects and engineers through the different studies that have been done over the years have identified this building as basically needing to be replaced. Even in 2005, when the Ohio School Facilities did their extensive research in regards to our facilities, they identified Wilson at that time as basically not being, exceeding the OFFC's recommendations in regards to renovations versus rebuild. At that time, it was just too costly to do the renovations, and those have even increased since then. So Wilson Elementary, in this particular plan, is to be replaced with a new elementary school. Well, that basically talks about our 9 buildings and just some of the areas that we would like to address in the very near future. Again, our plan is a needs-based plan. It's what is needed across the district in the near future. That about wraps it up for today, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to give me a call, or Rick Tepper, or Ray Johnson, or check our email. You could either email or you could check our website as well to get some additional information. Our phone number is 231-3600 if you'd like to give us a call, and we will get back with you. So until next time, thank you for joining us.